Hey everyone, it is Michael Tasner. Thank you ever so much for joining me on this inaugural episode. So just leave me a couple of notes in the comments. I just want to make sure that my audio sounds good, that the video looks clear. Want to make sure that everything is looking good, and then we will be off and running. So just give me a little thumbs up here. And I'm just going to go to the comments. Okay, got this. All righty. Perfect. So I wanted to, with this inaugural episode, the goal was to really just over-deliver from day one, but also to allow you to kind of get a flavor of what are we seeing in the childcare space. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background, a little bit more about kind of what we're up to. But I wanted to start with kind of the name of the show and why I decided to kind of name this the Childcare Bridge. So we're going to start there. And what you're going to find is I'm pretty casual. So I'll be drinking some coffee during the shows. We'll be drinking some water since it's pretty warm here in Buffalo. It's meant to be a casual show, but I just want to deliver as much value as humanly possible. So the reason that I decided to name this the Childcare Bridge is that I've been looking at kind of where centers are of all different shapes and sizes. So where are you today? And where do you want to be in the next 3 months, the next 6 months, 6 years, whatever that time frame is? And it's that gap, whether it's a small gap, whether it's a massive gap of trying to get you from point A to point B. And that gap is really just, there's different words for it. Some people have kind of called it the pit, for example. Some people have just called it the gap. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. But for me, I've often found that that gap, again, regardless of how big it is or how wide it is often just a couple of little tweaks to start to shorten that gap. And it often is areas that you either know that you should be executing or just little tweaks and little pivots. So what I decided to do is to finally go live and just start delivering value. And before I just start spewing stuff at you, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the format and what we're going to do in future episodes. And for those that actually are listening live, and I'm going to allow people to obviously comment after the fact as well, I'm going to throw the gauntlet down and what I believe is going to be a pretty killer offer to one center that ideally is listening live. And maybe we'll cut it at 24 hours after this goes live. But I'm going to pick one center that we are going to bring on every single episode and just work with in real time. So we're going to do essentially gratis consulting, gratis coaching, gratis marketing, and just help one particular center move the needle in real time. And every week we're going to be looking at kind of what's moving, how is the progress, and kind of putting together a scorecard so that we can share that with every single one of you listening. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that contest and how you can enter. It's going to be pretty darn easy to enter. And I'm going to pick one. And we're just literally going to just keep moving that needle with that center to get them into a spot that it's just starting to close that gap. So that's going to be one of the things that we're going to do on each of the future episodes. I'm going to start off doing this once a week. I've been trying to find the ideal time. I sent out an email to our list and said, hey, what time works? And there was literally no consensus. Some of you said do it in the evening. Some of you said lunchtime, morning, afternoon, like there was no consensus. So I tried to find a time that was kind of good for most of the people. And you can obviously give me feedback as to, does this time work? Are there better times? But everything is going to be recorded and broadcasted after the fact as well. But I will tell you that showing up live, interacting live, you're going to get a lot more value. And I'm going to have, just special fun prizes and things like that. And we're going to give away a few things on this live as well today. So I encourage you to stick to the end. I'm going to start with doing these for an hour. If an hour is too short, if it's too long, we can again kind of adjust on the fly and be nimble. So it's just one of those things in business in general that you've got to make sure that you are nimble. So format of the show, 1 hour, once a week to start with. And if there's kind of good feedback, I'm more than happy to start doing these a lot more often. I'll go live every day if needed. It really doesn't make a huge difference to me, but I want to make sure that there's enough support and that we're able to kind of continue to drive enough value to warrant a lot more lives as well. So the second piece then to it is the format. So it'll be kind of a little bit of talking head for part of it. Today will be all talking head. So maybe we'll end a little bit early today, but you'll find once I kind of get on some topics, I just start giving you as many golden nuggets as I possibly can. Like I just start spewing the nuggets left and right and literally just giving away often kind of the secret sauces as to everything that's working. And that's the whole point here is I always say a rising tide rises all tides. So the goal is to just over deliver on great free content. And if there's some ways that I can help you in the future, I'll tell you a little bit more about kind of what I do every day and what makes me qualified to give you this kind of information. You're more than happy to reach out anytime. So questions, please start asking any questions that you want. But I thought would be a good topic for the inaugural episode after I give you my short bio was to tell you just a little bit more about what we're seeing from a marketing perspective as we speak. Like not pre-COVID or kind of during COVID, but like what are we seeing now across the US in terms of enrollments, in terms of are there parents that are still nervous? So there's a lot of a trepidation. Are the phones ringing off the hook? Are people pushing to September? Do they want to come in for tours, not come in? So the beautiful thing in terms of my background is that I've been in the business game for 20 years. So I'm a small business owner, like most of you listening. I've had 7 or 8 different businesses over the last 20 years, but I've always gravitated towards marketing. And the parent company that I own is called No Joke Marketing. And that really is more of my philosophy to marketing and my philosophy to business. When I've looked at any time that I've had a gap in my business of where I am today to where I want to be, I've personally focused on doubling down, tripling down on the marketing. And it's that whole premise of if I put my marketing efforts first, that I would then start to see insane results in a good way. So if I adopted a marketing first mentality, and that means just keeping it top of mind, making sure there's budgets and that there's money allocated, making sure that we're looking at all the metrics every single day. Like if I made that the core focus, everything else started to get easier. And the exact same concept applies here with enrollments. That if your center lives and dies by, and that whether you've got one location, whether you're a home center and you want to kind of get back to full and then look at opening up a physical location outside of your house, whether you've got one location, multiple locations, it really doesn't matter. But if you know that your center lives and dies based on enrollments, that's going to start to resonate a little bit and look at, well, great, then how do we make sure that we have enrollments on demand, so to speak? How do we make sure that the phone is ringing, that we have tours, whether they're in person or virtual? And it all goes back to marketing. Everything goes back to how you're driving those conversations, how you're putting your center out there. All that stuff leads back to marketing. So we're going to talk a ton about marketing on this show, but I'm also going to address a lot of the other topics that centers have asked for. So how do I hire is an insanely hot topic right now. Like, how do I find teachers that want to work, that are not nervous, that are going to fit our culture? How do we make sure that everything is sanitized and cleaned? And while that's not my area of expertise, again, my background is in business ownership and then working and owning an agency. And now I've got an agency that focuses on working with hundreds of childcare centers each and every day. So we are working with centers just like you every single day, day in and day out. And while our focus is on the marketing, So we're focusing on driving enrollments and driving tours and driving revenue at the end of the day. That's what counts. You're not going to count up how many Facebook likes you have or how many new families do you have that like the website or shared your YouTube post or something like that. At the end of the day, it's a marketing game and a marketing math game. And we're going to be counting up how many tours you're doing, how many conversions, how many enrollments, because that enrollment number, again, is the lifeblood. And what we found is as long as we get those enrollment numbers up and you have those families that are coming in and your revenue starts to uptick, that you then can pull back a little bit on your personal attention and you can put some of your efforts on hiring more efficiently and building your culture and offering maybe additional benefits to your team and maybe upgrading some of the technology that you have at your center. But if you don't have the enrollments to support it, it's just like that cycle, that constant cycle. So I just literally got off the phone 2 minutes before I jumped on here, like maybe even a minute before. Here's my quick coffee break already. So if you're in like the Western New York area, Tim Hortons is like the coffee that everyone lives in and dies by. I have a bad problem though of buying the coffee and then like I'll take a few sips and then 5 hours goes by. I'm like, oh, I've got a full cup of coffee here. So probably not a good thing to reheat it. Definitely doesn't taste as good anyways. But I digress. So I just got off the phone with the center, not a client yet. And she's in a tough spot, like a lot of centers. And it's her enrollment is at like 20% of capacity. And at that level, it's not enough to be paying the bills, taking a salary. And when we started talking about what it's going to take to get her back to the levels that she needs, well, then the conversation is, well, there's no money to do that. But my pushback is you can either double down right now and really dig in and really start to grow your impact. Or you can essentially stay at the status quo, which unfortunately very well may end up leading you to go out of business. Like these are insane times right now. Absolutely insane. The metrics that I'm seeing are anywhere between 25 and 35% of centers they're saying will not reopen and or will close in the next 3 to 6 months. Like that is a terrible metric. And obviously there's some industries that the metric is even worse, like the restaurant industry, for example. But my whole goal of doing this type of content is to help tip that scale in your favor, to give you the strategies that are going to move that needle for you and move it by way of enrollments, which then obviously leads to cash, which then allows you to have more options. Cash at the end of the day is king. And the way that you drive that cash is through enrollments, which comes through marketing. So all roads lead back to marketing. So that's where, again, a lot of the content's going to focus. But as we bring on a center live, and I know there's quite a few people that are listening already, I would love to, if you want to leave some comments. So A, I'd love to see some questions, but B, if you want to nominate yourself and or your center to be that gratis consulting and gratis coaching client, please leave your name, either leave a thumbs up, hey, nominate me or something like that. And I will take all the people in the next 24 hours, put them on one of those fun randomizers, and I will select one of the centers. And again, what we're going to do is we will bring you on live for 10, 15 minutes a week. And during the week, myself and my team will be working on some of those different things with you. And then we'll be talking through kind of what we've done during that week to start to move the needle. And that needle might be moving on culture, on kind of the storytelling aspect. We might have you shooting some videos with your iPhone. So whatever you would like to do, I'm game. But again, if you want to nominate yourself, just write A, I'm nominating myself, tell me the name of your center, and I will put all those people in the hat. So I'm hoping we get lots of people that want to do it because, again, it's completely free and we will help grow your center literally in real time live and allow that information to then benefit everyone else that's listening. So that's the first fun piece. I talked a lot about my background. So again, business ownership, 2 agencies, a couple other fun businesses. I love to write. So I don't have any of my books in front of me handy, but I've written 6 books on marketing. So I eat and sleep, breathe this stuff. If you've heard of guerrilla marketing, so a lot of people have heard of the concept, like using time, energy, imagination instead of lots of money to produce better marketing results. I'm the former chief marketing officer of that company. And that out of all my accolades, I'm probably most proud of, because I like to say if the father of guerrilla marketing, and that book series sold 25 million books, it's the best selling marketing book series. It's the most well-known marketing brand in the world. If he trusted me to be his marketing guy and hand mentored me, I'd hope that I know a few things about marketing. So we use a lot of guerrilla marketing during everything that we're doing, because it's all about how can we continue to get creative and get scrappy to produce better results. So that is the other piece. Again, written a bunch of books. I'm a blogger on Forbes, so I write articles on Forbes. Just got approved yesterday or Monday, one of the days this week, to be a contributor on today.com on the parenting section. So that's a fun thing. And I just want to help you as much as I can. Like that, I love small business owners. I love local business owners. And again, I've just worked with them in all different shapes and sizes over the last 20 years. And it is tough. And now more than ever, in my opinion, it's the most trying time that I've ever seen in my short time on this earth. Like, it's absolutely insane, absolutely insane. But I will tell you on a positive note, and then I will switch gears and go into some of the content for today. I'm seeing a lot of positive signs. I'm seeing a lot of things that are pointing us in the right direction. We've got centers that are getting phone calls and leads all day, every day, to the point where they can't even keep up with the phone. Now, the asterisk to this is that it does vary city by city, state by state. So if you're in Florida, if you're in some parts of Arizona, some parts of California, it's definitely a bit more challenging than if you're in rural America, where there were not nearly as many cases of COVID. And it's a little bit easier. But I will tell you that even the states that are seeing a second or third wave of COVID, it's one of those things where they've got to make a decision, the parents, of, do I continue to keep my kids at home? Or do I look at finding a center that's following all the guidelines and the protocols that we're happy with and that we can get behind, and start sending our kids? Because it's not a long-term solution for these kids to be sitting at home. I mean, now we've got parents that they're trying to work during the day. They're trying to have a little bit of work-life balance. If they're now working from home, like they're working constantly, now the kids are there and screaming. I mean, I've got 4 kids myself. I'm at my office, so I'd like to get out of the house, but I have a home office as well. And there's no way I could do a Facebook Live out of my home office, because my kids are running all over the place. My youngest is 3, so she'd probably be coming on and wanting to say hello, but maybe that'd be a fun thing. So I'll have to do that one of these days. But I will say again that the needle is moving in the right direction in a lot of ways. And the next couple of months, I urge you to really stay focused, stay energized, and move as swiftly as you possibly can. Because I really feel that the next 3, 4, 5 months will be make or break for a lot of you listening. So in terms of topic for today, so that's kind of the background. That's the intro of the story. That's a little bit of the background. I told you that we work with hundreds of centers, marketing author, and all that. And I share that not to boast or brag, but I need you to know the caliber of the person that you're tuning into, because you're, trading your time to listen here. So I want to make sure that you're getting good value, and you're not just listening to someone that dances in the childcare space, or doesn't really know anything about the different rates of tuition and Montessori versus traditional, or childcare versus daycare, or any of that stuff. So that's that piece. So for today, I'm just going to pull up my notes real quick. And I'd love to have some people comment where you're listening in from. So if you could comment on the little note tab here. Let me know where you're tuning in from. So again, I'm located in Buffalo, New York, and I've traveled all over the US and the world, but I'd love to kind of hear where some of you are tuning in from. And again, if you have any questions at all, please let me know. So for today, I want to switch gears and give you some content on what are we seeing that is working at this very moment in time in terms of getting your phone to ring with families that want to enroll. So I figured that would be a great first episode, a great inaugural episode to just give you as much value as we can, and just allow you to start to move the needle over the next couple of days. So lots of people kind of all over the US. So we've got a couple of people in Texas, a couple of people in Florida, just read the comments here, New York City, Peoria, Illinois. Very cool. Peoria, that's actually where I went to school. Went to school in Bradley University. So fun to see someone from Peoria as well. A couple people in California, Utah. Very cool. All right. And again, thank you so much for joining. So what is working today? Like, what do you need to do in the next 24 hours to start to get your phone ringing? So I'm going to give you two different strategies that we are leveraging as we speak for the centers that we're working with that are driving consistent and reliable results. And that is really the secret sauce here. There are some strategies that might work temporarily, direct mail, that you can deploy it, and it could work, but the return varies drastically. And you could say, well, we do open houses. Well, I haven't heard of a center that we've been working with that's been doing a full-blown open house in the last 3 or 4 months. So what we're seeing, again, are two different tactics. So the first one that we're seeing working extremely well is what I like to call a reactivation campaign. And what I'm looking for with this reactivation campaign is I need you to get together every list that you have of anyone that has filled out a form, came in for a tour, visited your center, sent you an email. I need you to literally make the biggest list that you can. And I want it to be as complete as you possibly can. So give me whatever amount of data you can grab, whatever you can get. And whether you just have, name, email, phone, whether you've got addresses, give me everything that you have on a sheet. I love Google Sheets. I'm a big Google Sheet fan, but I prefer the cloud just in case your computer crashes or those. I would shock that those kind of things still happen, where you're working on something and all of a sudden you forgot to save or something crazy like that. But I want you to get it together, and I want you to put them into a couple of different buckets. So put them into buckets, because the camera is trying to refocus because I moved a little bit too much. So let's let this thing refocus. Give me 1 second. There we go. I bought a new camera to start doing these live, so I'm still trying to make sure that I'm using the camera in the right way. So you're going to gather all of these leads and start to categorize them. And I want you to, did they come in for a tour? How many kids? Whatever information you have, start to put some columns. Okay, so that's the first piece. The second piece is I want all of the enrollments in another form that decided to not return to your center, or people that decided to just withdraw. So that's your second list. And what I want you to do is to put together this reactivation campaign, and I want it done strategically using multiple touch points. So you're going to look at doing a few different things. So the first thing that you're going to look at doing is you're going to send out a text message, and we'll talk through the content and what does that look like in just a second. At the same time, you're going to send a ringless voicemail. Really slick technology where it actually will ring their cell phone and it'll go right to voicemail and it'll leave a message. And we'll talk about that content in a second as well. And then the third thing is email. So I will tell you that I've seen a lot of centers doing this, but what I'm seeing is that they're only using email. And there's, hey, are you still interested? Are you coming back? Like they're just sending email. So there's two different reasons why this campaign works so well. The first one is the languaging and the content. And the second one is the fact that we're not just using email. We're using multiple streams of awareness, multiple streams of traffic. Email, text, voicemail. Now, some centers even take this a step further. They add the fourth layer, which is direct mail. So out of all those four channels, the ones that I'm seeing being used the most are email by a long shot, and then direct mail, where they're sending a letter. Hey, are you still returning? Are you still interested? So there's two different campaigns of this reactivation. Again, the first one is for leads. And then the second one is for past enrollments that decided to withdraw, or people that they're on the fence, you can't get a hold of, they're not responding, like they're not giving you a firm yes or no. So two different campaigns. So let's start with the leads. You can go back as far as you want. So we typically suggest, and we'll do 6 months. I have seen centers go back, 2 years, for example. It really depends on the data that you have and just kind of how organized things are. But usually 3 to 6 months is a pretty good time frame. And the messaging it's pretty simple. And I'll just pretend that my center is called, ABC Learning Academy is usually the default that I use, which I know there's already a couple of centers that are named that. So if I were doing a voicemail, I like to start with that because the text is similar and then the email is similar. So the voicemail would say something like this. And I'm doing all this stuff on the spot, ad lib, just kind of how I like to roll. Hey there, this is Michael with ABC Academy. I'm so sorry that I missed you. I wanted to give you a quick call because I know that at some point in the past, you stopped in and we're looking at potentially enrolling at our childcare center. And I just thought that I would give you a personal call and see if you're still interested. I would love to have the opportunity to take care of your kids, and I think they would be a great fit here. Please give me a call back and you give the number, or if it's easier, you can text me back at this number. Have a great rest of your day. I look forward to talking to you soon. So the message is basically putting them on the spot. Are you still interested? The email is almost identical to what I just said. So it would be dear first name. Now you can actually customize it because you're not going to do 50 different voicemails. You would make a generic voicemail. So the email, dear first name. This is Michael with the ABC Learning Center. Wanted to send you a personal email. So you want to use the word personal so it doesn't look like it's mass, to see if you were still interested in childcare for your child. Now, if you have information about their child, you can use dynamic insertion and actually put their name in there, for example. So wanted to see if you were still interested in childcare for little Johnny, little Susie, for example. Question mark. Please reply back to this email and let me know if you're still interested. The key with that is that last line. Please reply back, or if you are still interested, hit reply and let me know. The mistake that a lot of centers are making is that they're putting out content and it's a little bit more fluffy in the sense of it doesn't have a firm call to action. People need to be told what to do. They need to be driven down the path of this is the next action to take. So hit reply if you're interested. So now what you've done is you've recorded the voicemail and you're going to load in the phone numbers and it's going to hit send. So there's a tool called Slide Dial, for example, is one of the many tools that we use. So that's going to go out. You're going to send the email using your email tool. There's multiple tools that you could use. And the final one that we tend to see the best result with is the text message. So the text message is a little bit more casual because you have to keep in mind the medium. So email is a little bit more formal, voicemail is kind of a little bit more fun, and then text is always the most casual. Guess I should message Tim Hortons and say, hey, I keep on showing you stuff during my lives. Can you send me some free coffee? So email, text, voicemail. The last piece again is text. So you could say something like, just thinking as I'm I guess, talking at the same time. Hey there, just wanted to reach out. I know that you expressed interest in our childcare center in the past. Are you still looking for childcare? Question mark. Would love to talk. And then I might put like an emoji or a smiley face. Now, the other thing that you could do, and I'll tell you why I tend to write it like that. The only other option is to modify it. And you'd say, hey, this is Michael with ABC Learning Center. Are you still interested in childcare? Question mark. Would love to have the opportunity to serve you. Emoji. The reason that I tend to keep it a little bit generic, and this is an interesting tactic when you think about it. If the family was shopping around childcare centers, those that follow up are going to get better results. The fortune is in the follow-up. So if you say, this is Michael with ABC Learning Center, they may not have been as interested in your center, or they might have forgotten about you. So if you say, are you looking for childcare? They might think you're a different center. But if you engage with them, and I will tell you, I've seen this happen many, many times, you rewarm them up and you can win that family. So I tend to keep it a little bit more generic. Hey, it's Michael. I know you were looking for childcare in the past. Are you still interested? Are you still looking? Question mark. Let me know. And you want to put an emoji. That text is where we typically are seeing near instant replies. Like, it's crazy. Even if you're only loading in 10, 15, 20 names, you will start to get replies close to instantly. Now, you're most likely going to get 70, 80% no's or just no replies. But I don't care. I don't. I'm interested in the people that say maybe or yes or tell me more. And now you've reactivated those people and you're going to put them back in your sequence and aim to close those enrollments. So that's the first step of the reactivation. It's done with leads. The second one, and this is the one that we're doing all day, we're doing both of these all day, every day. But the second one is get that list of all the families that either withdrew, disenrolled, went on pause, are not getting back to you. And the languaging is going to be similar, but it's going to be a little bit more forceful. And this is one that some centers get a little bit uncomfortable with. They're like, oh, I don't want to push people. And what I push back on, no pun intended, is if this is your livelihood, how can you sit here and tell me that you might have 30 more people that are coming back? You haven't heard from them. So you've got a bunch of teachers that are sitting on the sideline, or your ratio, you now got like 1 teacher to 2 kids because you thought that 30 more people were coming back. So to me, it's only fair to you as the owner, as the business person, to know where things are. So you're going to do the same thing: text, email, voice broadcast. So the languaging, we'll start with the voice broadcast again. Hey, this is Michael with ABC Learning Center. Wanted to give you a quick call. So sorry that I missed you. I'm calling all of our previous enrollments to give them one last chance to secure their spot. We're filling up quickly. We anticipate being at a wait list over the next couple of weeks. Please give me a call back urgently. Look forward to hearing from you. So that the text message then is going to be similar. Hey, this is Michael with ABC Learning Center. I wanted to shoot you one more quick message. Are you still coming back or not? Question mark. We are near capacity, and I wanted to reach out before we fill your spot. Email, same kind of concept. Dear first name. I know that little Johnny was previously enrolled and you chose to withdraw. I thought that I would reach out to you one last time before we close the file. That phrase drives results. That one phrase drives conversations and conversions. When someone hears closing the file, they're either going to close it, or they're going to say, whoa, 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 closing the file. We just didn't know if we were coming back in August or September. Okay, well, great. And a lot of times when you're sending out these messages, even if you've tried sending emails, calls, things like that, these messages will start to get people from off the sidelines to taking some kind of action. And it's very similar to the messages with leads. You're going to get a lot of no's. And if a lot of these families have already not responded to your multiple emails, you very well might not get a lot of positive replies. But it doesn't matter because we haven't even started talking about what are you going to do from a new marketing perspective. We're always initially focusing on what can you do to just reactivate some of those families. Hey, Julie, thank you for listening. So I do another Facebook Live Wednesdays with Julie. We've been doing that for, a couple of months now. So lots of great episodes there. And Julie is one of the industry experts. I mean, she's absolutely fabulous. So thank you so much for popping on, Julie, and saying hello. So this reactivation campaign for leads, you're going to execute that. And then the one in tandem, you're going to execute for any enrollments that you're like, I don't know, like they're on the sidelines. And that was the other piece on my call that I had a little bit earlier of that, like 35, 40 people that are not returning. I'm like, well, what have you done to kind of get them off the fence? Well, some emails and tried doing a Zoom, but no one showed up. Okay, that's fine. But I need you to go to step B, step C, email, voice, which is that voicemail, and a text message. You've got to hit them up from multiple platforms. We're seeing the best response right now from text. People, they don't want to answer their phone. I answer my phone almost never, unless I know who's calling and I have a free moment. And usually my response is, hey, what's up? So what do you mean? I just tried calling you. No, I saw that, but what's up? How can I help? People don't want to talk. So if you're saying, well, they don't want to come on a Zoom or they're not responding to my emails, that's fine. Hit them up with the method that you know is going to go to their phone. Text messages have a 99% open rate. 99%. Depending on how you're sending your emails, you could have a 20% open rate. You could have a 60, 70, 80% open rate. But I promise you're not going to have a 99% open rate on an email unless your email list is like 10 people and you email all the time. But even, Alan, great question. I'll answer that question in just a second. Even if you have 70, 80% open rate, you still have to be hitting them up with another platform. So Alan's question was, do you use all the three platforms simultaneously or do you stagger? So we hit them up the same day. And we will stagger it over about a 2-hour period, but we don't want anything longer than that because I want to very quickly hit them up because what they're also then seeing and feeling is just that attention. So if you're texting them, so normally I would start with the voice broadcast, which then leaves them a message. I would then send the email about a half hour later. And then an hour or two later, we'll send the text message. But it's all done the same day in a short time span. Now, what I also will do then is we will do this a second or even a third time. But typically, the first time you're going to get the lion's share of your responses. And most, again, will be no. But that's fine. Let's say you had 50 people that you had no idea if they were going to return or not. Okay. Well, if you're trying to budget, you're trying to plan, you're trying to staff based on those people, let's try and weed out as many no's as possible. So maybe that list of 50 goes down to 20 in the first day because you get 30 people that are like, no, we're not going to re-enroll and we'll look next year, which is fine. And you're going to move them into a different list to make sure you nurture them. But I'm trying to clean up that list. And really what we're looking for at the end of the day is let's see if we can get you some new enrollments, or let's see if we can reactivate some of your past enrollments. And that is the quickest way to drive cash this week, next week. Reactivation campaign to leads, reactivation campaign to all of your withdraws and people that paused. And a lot of people are nervous about the list. So like, well, I don't know if this family, they're kind of on the fence. I think they're going to come back, so I don't want to send them a message. Now is the time to be sending these messages. It is not the time to be shy. Now is the time that you need to be over communicating, because I promise you that centers that are going head to head with you, that are competing, regardless of if you're Montessori versus non-Montessori, or whatever your differentiating factors are, centers are in a kind of feast or famine mentality right now. So they're coming for you. They're coming for your enrollments. The other thing that I like, the metric that, while it's a pretty disappointing metric of 25 to 35% of centers will not reopen or they will close. Well, we didn't lose 25 to 35% of the kids and families. They still need somewhere to go. So a lot of centers are then going to be expecting to see surges, which I'm hoping also is the case. But like everything, these families have still been a little bit slow to return. So do you have any other questions? I'm going to pause for a second there, because I just kind of went on for a half hour on that strategy. But that I literally gave you step by step by step, even gave you the content. That is one of the first things that we do every single time in working with a new center, is we deploy these reactivation campaigns. So that's step one. I'm going to pause, take another sip of water, because my office is like piping hot down here. Tina is asking, just read your question real quick, Tina. How are you handling people that are state pay versus private pay? So, that it varies based on the state. So some states are more pro-child care than others. So some states are even paying if the families are staying at home, because you can still collect that money if you have a virtual option, which is going to be one of our future topics. I'll tell you how we're doing virtual preschool. So that's one option. But it really depends on the state. You obviously want to try and reactivate as many people as you can. Most states now are going to be paying based on attendance, as opposed to people that are just staying at home. So they're not just going to keep paying forever, even if they're they're attached to your license number, so to speak. So you want to make sure that you're trying to reactivate as many of those as possible. Alan, great question. And if you have the capacity, a personal phone call is even better. I will tell you that I can maybe name on one hand the amount of centers that have done a personal call. But if you have relationships, that's a great strategy and a great tactic as well, especially if you've got some charm to you and you're able to kind of sweet talk them a little bit. But it really depends on your capacity to make all those calls. But you could do a personal call and then still send the text message and the email in tandem and just kind of start dialing. So that's a great strategy as well. All right, so we got another, let's say 10 minutes. So I want to give you just the second piece, and then I'll give you an action item or two, and then I'll let everyone get back to their evenings and go home and grab some dinner. So second strategy, so that's the first piece that's working extremely well. The second piece is paid traffic, and that is really where we're seeing what I like to call enrollments on demand. And it's looking at matching kind of the types of families that you have and the families that you really love serving to the best places that they're hanging out. So, for example, if you're telling me that you're in, San Antonio, Texas, for example, and these are the types of families that have traditionally been coming to your center, so you're just kind of talking about them a little bit. I'll take that data and we'll map it on a map to start to see kind of where people kind of fall. Let's see other particular neighborhoods. And you're trying to grab as much of that data as possible before you do anything. The data is really what should guide the other pieces of the strategy. So when you start to see kind of trends and kind of where they're hanging out and what are some of their interests, you start to get some of that demographic data. You can then pick which platform or platforms can drive phone calls and leads by way of direct response marketing. And so the text messages that we talked about earlier, those are direct response. You're aiming to send out a message and get a response. So the same thing with paid traffic is that we're aiming to put ads out to the universe in a targeted fashion and get parents to raise their hand and say, I'm interested, tell me more. Depending on your location, the types of enrollments, there's going to be a few platforms that you're going to want to consider. But I can tell you that bar none, Facebook has been the number one platform. Number one by a long shot. Like it's not even close. Not even close. But the other platforms that we're using are Google AdWords. We're using Bing. We're using Pinterest. We're even doing some stuff with Snapchat and TikTok. We're buying ads on sites like Fox and CNN. So that's kind of like ad buying in general. So there's lots of different ways to kind of buy eyeballs. But I will tell you that if you were saying, Michael, give me the one thing, like I know you're saying we can do them all, what would you suggest? First, Facebook ads is really where we're seeing the best results for the centers that we work with. And it's just the ability to specifically target those types of families that you really like. So you can say, I want families that live within 3 miles of my center, that have this income, that are moms and dads, that are athletic. Like you can start to put all those different areas and different interests. If you're a faith-based center, you can start to say, well, I'm interested in these types of families and they have to like a church or something spiritual, or you can start to list all those. So the goal then is that you want to match the platform with the ideal persona that you're trying to attract. Oh, that was interesting. Camera went off, so let me try restarting it real quick. Let's go like this. Give it a second. There we go. That was strange. The technology gods. So you're looking to match it with the right platform. And then you're just going to start to put some content out there. But that, and I'm oversimplifying this because I'm trying to kind of whet your appetite a little bit and give you the strategy so you're aware of the strategy. But the key here is the content in tandem with the targeting. Content and the targeting. If you're targeting the wrong types of families, so if you are state pay and you're typically targeting kind of lower income or particular demographics, and you're going on to Facebook and you're saying, show me families that are making $150,000 that live in these ritzy neighborhoods that are 15 miles away, you're going to get leads and then they're going to call and you're going to tell them your spiel. And hey, do you want to come in for a tour? Or can we do a virtual tour? And there's going to be a huge disconnect because they're the wrong types of families. So you got to have your targeting nailed down, but the content is the other piece of this equation. And this is, I'll give you one or two more nuggets, and I'll end with a few other quick things as well. But the nuggets are video. Video is performing 3 to 5 times better than text and imagery, like literally 3 to 5 times at minimum. So doing a quick little video with your cell phone. Hey, this is Michael at ABC Academy. It's so great to see you. We're now enrolling. We have a special offer if you get 2 weeks free. We want to kind of welcome you back. We're taking all these precautions to make sure that you are safe and that your kids are safe. And we're just here to serve you in the community. So what you'll notice there with that particular kind of ad on the fly is it's a little bit casual. I am not making sanitizing and COVID the main piece of the ad, but I'm also not ignoring the elephant in the room. I'm acknowledging it so that I can kind of ease their fears a little bit. But the other piece is that I'm throwing out some kind of offer. And I will tell you, the other nugget is the number one converting offer that we are seeing right now and that we have been seeing for 3 years is get 2 weeks free. Get 2 weeks free. That offer is converting much better than get 10% off, get a week free, get a free Chromebook, get waived tuition, free tours. Like there's all these different kinds of offers. And that's the advantage of us testing and having lots and lots of data, is that we're able to very quickly test and see what's working and get 2 weeks free. That's the offer that is converting like gangbusters. So you want to have in your ad an offer. You want to have some kind of call to action. and you also want to address COVID, all in that short, give or take 30 to 60 second advertisement. And you want to get that up on Facebook and just start running ads and just starting to generate some conversations. Now, again, I'm oversimplifying, but if you knew that there is a tactic that literally can drive you leads over the next couple of days, phone calls over the next couple of days, and we addressed kind of the whole elephant in the room at the beginning of this, that if you live or die by enrollments and then that cash flow, you've got to start to change your mindset a little bit and know that this is the time that you need to up-level your game. This is the time when you need to double down and start to execute. This is the time when you need to put your brand, your story, and all of that stuff literally out on a silver platter so that people know why they need to come and do business with you. And they need to know why they need to send their kids to you. So I need to make sure that as we continue to get to know each other virtually, and again, you're welcome to message me personally on Facebook. You can leave comments on here, questions, all that good stuff. I want to make sure that you are just up-leveling your game again so that we can start to close that gap. And again, that's why I call that the childcare bridge. So a few action items for you, and then I will let you scoot for the evening. So I would love to, have some people, again, nominate. We got a bunch of nominations that I saw so far. So I'm going to cut it at 24 hours. So if you are interested in literally being on live, so you got to be willing to come on camera, got to be raw. I'm more than happy to invite you on. So I will take all the entries over the next 24 hours. So we'll close this tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern. And I'll take all the entries, throw them into a virtual tool and pick someone and reach out to you personally. And we'll start giving you some gratis help. That's the first thing. The second thing is, from an action standpoint, I want you to tell me which of the things that did most resonate with you today. The marketing math concept, and we talked about kind of that whole math piece. Is it the reactivation campaigns? And then I want to know what you're going to commit to executing and by when. That's kind of the piece when I've spoken on stages many, many times and written all these books. Most people don't take the action. I want you to be action takers. I want to hear. I want to be interacting. Like, I'm here to serve, but I need to make sure that you are taking those actions rather than just listening. So make sure you comment, make sure you share this out to help kind of continue to increase the exposure. That's what I've got for today. Again, happy to take any other questions. Next week, we will be back here at the same time, Thursday at 5 Eastern. And I will have our guest on. That'll be Child Care Center owner that we'll start working with live and start to report on that. And we'll start to bring in some other fun guests. And I will just have more content for you on all different sorts of topics. So thank you ever so much for joining. I look forward to getting to know you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening and a weekend if I don't talk to you before the weekend. And I will see you back here next week, Thursday at 5 Eastern. Talk to you later.